different elements and different factional tunes. So that's really cool. All right, so here we go. We've got our two teams getting ready together. They're on the band phase.
Yeah, I believe that's going to be Skulk Squad on the left-hand side, which is going to be Team 0, and then it's going to be right-hand side is going to be Project 21, if I'm not mistaken. I believe it's how it is. We'll get confirmation of that here momentarily. Beatrix, first one being banned.
Yeah, that's a smart choice. Beatrix is really, really, really powerful right now. Has an extremely powerful silence ability, which shuts off ability use. Oh, Alani, again, we didn't see her banned as much in the pre-qualifiers, but another smart choice, one of the best burst healers in the game right now. Yeah. Really stopping that from being an element here.
Yeah, Alani is going to be a hero that's either picked or banned. You know, she's very versatile in terms of her burst healing, but also her wave clear, and her ultimate has some good crowd control elements as well.
Well, her ultimate does a devastating amount of AoE damage. It's that big water dragon that if you land it on a character, it snaps to him. It takes a few seconds to pop off, but it can damage everyone around. Arendi, not a surprising ban on that. Arendi in a really, really heavy damage place right now, so she can be a big factor on a team.
You touched on it yesterday that Arendi was going to be one of the characters that has the most burst damage among any of the characters in Battleborn because of the way her augmentation allows it and the helix. Where the Shadow Fire Pillar, you could spread it out to where it shows every single person in her basically eyesight can hit the Shadow Fire Pillar. If you overlap, it's double the damage.
Yeah, and part of what goes into Arendi's strength right now is not just that awesome skill burst damage she gets, but her main attack. We in some reworks that we did on her, I think with the winter update, we actually increased her main attack, projectile speed and attack speed a little bit. So her main attack is actually really devastating. It doesn't do a lot of damage, but she can spam it so much on characters. A good Arendi player right now is just damaging you all the time, and it's harder to get away from her. Super accurate, super damage, devastating. So. All right, so we're seeing the first reserve there, Kid Ultra, really solid mix of support and damage dealing. One thing to watch with Kid Ultra is how Kid Ultra uses his little buoys, his healing drones on that. Whether he goes with attaching to the players or places them down on the field is almost like the static, almost like Umbra uses her sunspots, right, and static healing elements. Deandy, really solid choice, stealth character. And going to complement that with Reyna, one of my favorite support characters. Reyna, who's great at overshielding, can complement that with a little bit of healing. But really what you're going to see Reyna do is control the shield game if a Reyna character is played well.
Yep. Boulder was the last character to be banned, which honestly isn't uncommon. Risky Foxtrot being reserved, that kind of figured it. The players hovering over it. So Risky Foxtrot and Wrath. We saw some excellent Wrath play yesterday. With Dunk Squad against the Gearbox developing team, and then Galilea being reserved as well, most common as well. So
yeah, the Wrath Galilea matchup is really interesting. Usually Galilea dominates the melee on that, so you're definitely going to want to see the blue team come in and add in Whiskey Foxtrot to take care of that Galilea. You really want to take Galilea down at range, but she's got the shield to bring up, so they're going to have to work out some areas. Good solid choice. Again, running a Montana. Looks like a Montana-Miko combo in there. Montana may be a big element later game of helping free up that Galilea as the Montana has a dash come in. If you can get a good dash, you can get Galilea stunned. She'll drop the shield. You can target damage on her. That's going to be good.
My main issue with that is with the Miko Montana is a really good combo, but I wonder how it will kind of play into the meltdown. Whereas on incursions, it'll be better, I believe, for Miko. But it's going to be interesting to see how can Miko kind of adjust into the later game stages.
Well, not a bad pick, because remember, we're on Meltdown Cold Snap. And as I've said, it has a much more distinct separation between the two lanes in there. So like I said, what I was kind of predicting, and you're kind of seeing it land up here, is you're seeing a little bit more pairing. I bet you're going to see Montana and Miko in a lane. You're probably going to see probably Kid Ultra and Whiskey in a lane is what I would predict here, and then watch the Wrath move around and put pressure where he needs to again come up and do some of the knockups to really create advantage, do a little bit minion wave clearing where he needs to come in and do on the top. Well, the other team, go ahead.
No, absolutely. I wanted to call out the other team. The last two picks were Cleese and Marquis, which are definitely kind of some, not necessarily weak picks, but definitely kind of niche picks, especially in the theme or the meta that's going on right now. So
well, Marquis pretty, again, this is where you see some of the smart character picks, I think, on different maps. these wouldn't necessarily be the strongest picks on a Paradise map, but I think on Cold Snap, Marquis can be quite effective. Marquis has, of course, a sniper, one of the best long-range snipers. There's a couple of great perches on the Cold Snap map. In fact, if you go to the end of either lane, you're going to watch up here just above that grinder gate where we passed there. There's a great perch you'll watch the Marquis probably take up there, and he can aim down the lane and get a lot of damage on minions. Also, Marquis with his bubble attack can get some great AoE in, especially later game. And you'll watch him be very effective at wave clearing later in the game. So Marquis there on really kind of controlling the pace of the minions, but Cleese setting up rift networks, keeping that defense up and all that. This is actually going to be a very interesting matchup. Some different characters that we don't see played as often, but I think both teams with a good mix of pairings, some stealth on Project Zodiac there. We're going to see how they put that in play.
Looking at the gear selections too, it seemed like Skull Squad went with the gear selection that was mostly epic. So in terms of getting that differentiator of that additional that gear to kick in a little bit later is going to be one thing to keep an eye on, because I seem like that they have a very good character selection, but their gear might be what's holding them back later in the game.
Well, we'll see. If they play a really strong shard game at the beginning, one strategy I imagine they would go for is they're really planning on dominating the finale stage in Meltdown. If they can get those epics popped by the time they get in there and give them a really great statistical advantage later on, you know, they'll be weak at the beginning, but they'll get a good stat advantage later on where they can convert, which will give them a lot of strength to bring to bear against those ultra minions, which might be really important in that.
So what's your take on Skulk Squad actually taking 2 healers, and also the fact that, you know, I just want to say, we see a Wrath, we didn't see a Caldarius, so I wonder if the Wrath player is going to be playing the Wrath, but we did actually see I believe it was a double kill right there come down from Cleese, so that's going to be interesting to see, but, you know, they take the early lead, 10 points, and now we see that's Project 21 coming back with 36.
Well, Kid Ultra, you know, you say 2 healers. Miko is definitely a really great healer. Kid Ultra plays, has a really great, he shoots those rockets, and they actually do a lot of damage. Later on, you get some of that use with the bolas on Kid Ultra that not only does pretty good single target damage, it can do pretty devastating single target damage late in the match, but also has some stun ability on it that can be really, really important to control. But Kid Ultra's drones can also add in attack speed to attack teammates. So it's not only healing, he can bring in some buffing that can make a pretty big difference if he lands those drones in there later on.
And so in the lane that we see right here, you know, we're going to the Wrath's point of view, but Miko and Montana are actually partnering pretty well. Miko being that pocket healer. Wrath doing some good trades and Cleese shutting down that early game. Looks like Wrath's trying to lift to be able to get out of there. He's disengaging, just being able to run around, try to see if he can clean up some additional minions while he's reshielding up. He's going to rejoin his team with the Pocket Miko and the Montana that's just shelling everything going on right now.
Yeah, that Pocket Miko playing really well. Again, really using that Montana as expected for lane clear in there. D'Andy really coming at Kid Ultra there, getting a good kill, holding that area. And Whiskey Foxtrot is now, I think, in the lane by himself, just going to try to keep the other team at bay while they're really working in the other stages. As expected, a pretty close game. A small advantage on Skulk Squad right here, 52-39, but that's less than a full minion wave through. Could really flip the game at any moment right here in these early stages.
The Wrath came to join, but unfortunately gets taken down by the Reyna. And now we're going back on board here with Whiskey Foxtrot, doing what he can to prevent them from going to the grinder. I don't necessarily agree with this player backing up there totally, because at least if he was there, the minions would stop at him. Instead, they would go straight to the grinder. Fortunately enough, that was Kid Ultra there coming back and finishing it up. 55-45, still a small lead, still anybody's game. Very early in the game right now.
I think the reason why that he postured that way was because 2 of his teammates were down. So if he actually stood in front of the wave, then he might have been taken down as well. And then the minions wouldn't have been able to get him anyway. So I think he was just trying to go for more survivability, which Miko needs to be doing right now if he's not too careful. But it looks like with the minion reinforcements chilling next to the accelerator and his big buddy Montana just coming right on up, he's going to be just fine.
That had to hurt really bad there for Skulk Squad, you know, especially the Miko player. Seeing the super minion basically or the elite bot, sorry, coming just straight in, basically had to uncontest that because of the sole fact, like, you give him an extra kill and the elite bot, or you just give him the 20 points. And now you see Zodiac actually in the lead now, 70-68, but eventually Skulk Squad comes up and almost ties it up.
Let's take a look at the Montana Helix for a second, because I think we're seeing one of my favorite Montana builds. Go up to level 1, right. It's taken Weatherman, which is one of my favorite things to do with Montana right now, which is increase the accuracy while his skill Hailstorm is on advantage. What that really lets Montana do, especially early on, is kind of stay in that back pocket, really spray minions down the lane. It really offsets the inaccuracy of his minigun, brings in kind of really a tight spray of bullets. Also really, really, really awesome at frustrating Galilea. So you've seen him match up at Galilea. He can constantly either make her keep her shield up, or you can see him just ding her with damage the whole map and kind of keep her at bay a little bit.
And for people that are looking into the game or playing it and don't have a lot of experience, Montana is definitely, I would say, a very common first pick. His weakness is that he's huge. Like, he's actually 2 Mikos tall. So the fact that, you know, he's engaging appropriately, utilizing the angles, and having Miko really just pocket support him is really good. But the downside is that Project Zodiac is able to get quite a few minions in, and now we're just at a 2-point differential 5 minutes into our first game.
Yeah. A really kind of classic play right here. Miko and Montana early on, before Montana gets some of his big health buffs in play, kind of staying in the pocket, trying to keep the minions, controlled there and all of that. But what you see is again Cleese and Galilea. Galilea, who's really threatening all the game, playing really well together. Cleese keeping his rifts up, which are increasing shield regen for both he and Galilea. Galilea just walking those minions all the way through the gate and keeping that Miko and Montana pocketed back there where they can't get minion damage all the way down the lane on that, which makes it really hard for them to finish off the minions as they walk in the gate. A really good strategy being deployed by Project Zodiac just to kind of make up and catch up that. But the other lane seems to be a different story. So Wrath in there, really, Wrath, it looks like picking off the Marquis player. That's a really great play. Marquis is very vulnerable to the close-up melee characters, especially fast-moving characters like Wrath, who can get a knock-up, who can move him out. Marquis is a very slow-moving character. He really wants to stay at a difference. Wrath, really great play right there, mixing up with Deandy, getting her out of there. We'll see where the Deandy goes. Now, Deandy has a particular ability called Hollow Twin, which means that what a Deandy player really wants to do is use this deceptive clone that she deploys in the map to really confuse and frustrate a Wrath while she gets around behind and picks at him with damage from the back. Wrath really kind of shut that down or caught her with the Hollow Twin on cooldown that time. And now he is really just in there mixing up with the Ultra Minions.
I want to call out, too, that Skulk Squad's Wrath, you know, he's going in, getting really confident going into those engagements, getting out, actually able to get an additional kill on Cleese. He's level 6, he's 75% of the way into level 7. Most of the members on Team Project Zodiac are about 3 or 4, so he's having a huge damage spike, so if they're going to have to be able to deal with this Wrath or shut him down in order for Project Zodiac to not have the game run away from them.
Wrath is pretty polarizing, right? He's you know, for a new player playing against other new players, he's a very accessible player. He's pretty easy to get. You can understand. He's kind of straightforward. We intentionally made him that way. He's fast-moving melee, a little bit squishy. When you start to get into mid-tier play, Wrath becomes a little bit harder to field because you really need to start getting into the subtlety of Wrath, which really is using that knock-up, using that cross blades, which is kind of a medium-range attack to really move through and attack that. And you're gonna need to use a lot of subtlety. And one of the hardest things for shooter players to learn is mobile players, it's a little bit more natural, but shooter players is Wrath, when he gets some damage on him, he doesn't need to stand toe-to-toe to the more beefy players, especially like a Galilea or some of the other Montana close-up is really devastating. He needs to disengage, get back out, and either find, like, he's got 2 great options. Miko, I've seen heal him, but if you're watching this Wrath player, he knows where his Kid Ultra is dropping the support drones and is going and picking up those little support drones that we're going to add healing. Oh, no. Good stun there by Galilea, a shield throw on Wrath. He's going to have to get out of there. This is a really interesting engagement there. Galilea right on his heels, but he's getting back, and Kid Ultra, who's keeping everybody droned. Kid Ultra getting a support drone on Wrath. Wrath, his shield, no, didn't get a support drone on him, unfortunately. Maybe it's on cooldown. Really dangerous engagement for Wrath right here. Now he's got a support drone. You see his health ticking back up. And really, and now he's chasing down that Marquis.
All I gotta say is that
great combo play right there. The knock up and the crossblades. Awesome finish on the Marquis.
All I gotta say is, since we've been on Wrath for the past 4 minutes, that is 9 straight kills since we've been on him. I just want to pull up scoreboard real quick. See, he is 14-1 right now. Nobody else has even broke past 2 kills, and he already has 14 kills.
So we need to confirm, is this the Wrath cosplayer playing Wrath? I got to imagine that it is. A lot of love, and we are seeing, oh man, 10
10 in a row.
And took out the Galilea, which normally is really surprising. Galilea in her Desecration aura is usually unstoppable by a Wrath player, but he's making some really smart engagements. Again, using smart knockups, using smart timing on his engagements, and is getting good support from his Micro Kid Ultra to keep him. He hasn't had to base once to recover his health that I've seen. Really super aggressive. You're not even seeing, you haven't even seen him ult much. His Dreadrin is ult that goes in and does a lot of damage around. Boy, that could be a really big factor here later in the match as he powers up.
Yeah, man. Unfortunately, Skulk squad, you know, it was about 130 to 130, and since Wrath on that Rampage of kills, they've legitimately gotten 140 points, and they're only 113 points away. And we just see Montana pick up a double kill, and that's a pretty. Oh, sorry, Montana. Yeah, Montana did pick up a double kill. That's pretty huge there. You know, considering you're at such a depth you are. You know, you mentioned that kills give you some points; they still matter, but it also allows for the enemy team. You have to cover ground now because now they have map control. They have your enemy grinders, and this is something we've seen Dunk Squad do a lot in the unqualified series. When it gets to a finale, they just make you stay in your base while they just kill everything. And I want to imagine if Skulk Squad can still keep that same mentality and actually go and make you stay in your base and just basically just have the ultimate just kind of walk to your grinder.
The one thing that I want to call out as well, earlier on we talked about the composition. So Skulk Squad is doing a 2 and 2 each lane, and they're having the Wrath kind of roam around and at this point do whatever the heck he wants to. Project Zodiac, they really, a lot of times that we're going on to them, they're doing good things. Like we saw the Marquee, elite or recruit both of those elite bots, but then he walked right up to Wrath, and Wrath just had his, killed him with his blades right there.
Another, in fact, you're talking, as you say that, Wrath going in for another double kill. Actually, I think Kid Ultra got the final hit on Galilea there, preventing the double kill on Wrath. I'm sure they're going to have some words about that later, because that Wrath, I think, is just having a fun day here at the first game on the competition.
Yeah, going back onto lane number of the left lane now, we see Cleese here with the Deandy trying to get against this Montana. They finally take out Miko, so actually Miko died by a minion there, so that's very unfortunate because I don't believe Zodiac actually gets the points for that.
Right.
But now we see Montana's going to get taken down as well. And one good thing they're doing is they're really making sure that Cleese cannot build up his Rift network. You see Wrath, as soon as he puts that down, he actually focuses on the Rift network instead of focusing on the players themselves.
Going back to the point, I'm pretty sure if you have damaged the other player, the minion gets the kill. The last player to have touched it, it'll at least give you assist credit, if not a kill credit on that. The minions don't completely kill steal from you. We wanted to be sure that didn't happen because they do a lot of damage. Now, I think what you saw there, though, was that Miko, again, really trying to desperately heal through and keep their characters up. Just wasn't quite paying attention to getting focused on by the minions. Got some damage on him and went down pretty quickly with a little bit of player help on that.
So with Wrath getting a triple kill right there, he just dinged to level 10. So what are we going to see from his potential burst right there? And he's getting additional kills at that point. Now, is there anything that Project Zodiac can do to really shut him down? Look at the level differential. Like, it's pretty significant at this point.
Man, we're here at 383. We're only 17 points away from going to the finale phase on there. Skulk Squad's got a pretty commanding lead at this point. And I think definitely see that dominant Wrath play. Yeah, here we are at four-hander. Oh, great move for the taunting for the camera right there. That was really stylish. Well done, Wrath. That was well played. Here we go, the finale. We're going to start with a pretty big advantage for Skulk Squad on here. They're starting with version 5 Ultravots. This is going to be a big advantage. Now, Project Zodiac's really going to need to bring in some focused fire on these Ultra minions. What you would really want to see at this point is I would really want to see that Galilea and maybe even that Cleese, depending on how he's spec'd. Get ready to be a stunner for that Wrath. You're going to have to take that Wrath out of the equation. First engagement here, Galilea's already down. Oh no, she did exactly that. Galilea did the smartest thing she could have done. She took out the Wrath. he's been a dominant player. It gives him a chance really to focus fire a little bit more casually on the ultra buys.
I think that actually was a plan there, because with Wrath, you have to focus fire on him. You have to put 3 players away now. And look at that. They have 4 players stacked up, and that Ultra Bot's going to just walk right in with no contention whatsoever, because there's nothing Zodiac can do.
Yep.
And that right there, Skulk Squad will take game number 1 here at the Chocktaw Festival Gaming. They all go up 1-0 in this best of 3 series. And that was just, I think that was planned there, because I was actually going to say this before. I feel like they should have stacked all 5 on one side, or they're going to have one player go to the left, the right side, and actually make them have to deal with that player, because you don't have no Ultra Minion to kind of combat that Ultra Minion. So in that matter, you had to deal with both lanes, otherwise you're going to give it up. So if you stack 5, and especially with the level differential that they had, there was about a 4 to 3 level difference on each single player. Like, they had to 5-man stack one side.
They got the moral victory right there, and the fact that they were actually able to take out Wrath just before the game ended.
They took him down. They got a couple of kills on him. Again, it's really surprising because, you know, focus on Wrath. If you can slow or stun him, he doesn't have a lot of health. He doesn't have a lot of shield. He's actually, you know, Wrath's big defensive mechanism is his speed, and then his knock-up. You know, but we saw that Wrath player use the speed and knock-up extremely effectively to maneuver the map. Again, you were asking early in the game, why are they running double support? Kid Ultra is a really good support if the team's coordinated well for Wrath, because he's going to take those drones that attach to Wrath and give him, again, sustained healing as he runs super fast around the map. Every time Wrath is getting a little trouble, he's running back. 20-2 for Wrath. A really, really, really strong showing on there. That was an amazing game. Khalees is the highest killer on Project Zodiac. That's I've seen that before. Khalees can be very dangerous and devastating. Usually you would have expected, though, either a Galilea or
The D'Andy, I would think.
or a D'Andy to be the high killers on there, but I think Wrath really, really gave D'Andy fits on that. You saw her get shut down a lot. Really devastating on that.
And to echo on that, too, I think Khalees got the first blood and also the second kill right there. So 2 of his 3 kills were in the first minute of the game.
And even though there's so many kill difference, maybe like 26 kills in favor of Skulk Squad, look at the damage taken. 117 to 101, so it wasn't that far off of damage taken. But if you look at the damage dealt, over 100 and almost 20,000 more so in favor of Skulk Squad there.
Right. And we were talking about gear. Let's look at that for a second, because one of the comments that we had at the beginning of the match was that Skulk Squad was running a lot of epic gear. But look at that. All 3 sets that are running epics also start with the common flawed shard generator. So really smart gear build. They're actually building kind of what I said. They're building late game. They're pulling those kits to give them a lot of shard generation and let them power up those epics. And look, all but 1 piece of gear on their team, no, 2 pieces of gear on their team were activated, even with the high cost of the gear. So really good strategy, really good shard control on that, really thinking that through. And I think that again, just created that, because we saw a close match early on, and you saw it start to snowball with that great Wrath play and really some good gear. I think that is making a little bit of tipping balance later on.
Yep. But Overgrowth Incursions, our next game, what do you think is going to be what can Zodiac do in order to actually take this and bring it to a Game 3? I would love to see a Game 3 here, but they have to shut down that Wrath. I wouldn't be surprised if that Wrath is banned this time around. But what would you suggest that they can do in order to bring this back? Because it didn't seem like they were really not cohesing together. Like, it seemed like they cohesed fine. It's just they were just getting outplayed.
At times they did have some ability to work together very well. You know, at the very end they were able to take him out, but they did that but transitioned to losing. So that's not necessarily the best strategy. But I think it boiled down to a lot of not necessarily just they were outpicked and banned, but the strategy that they had in terms of, okay, we're going to do dual supports, we're going to have 2 lanes, we're going to have a roamer, is a pretty standard strategy, but it's a good solid strategy. You know, you're not gonna do a lot of damage right off the bat, but you know you're gonna be able to sustain, be able to hold ground, and do those type of things. The Project Zodiac, their picks were a little bit more different. That Marquis just wasn't able to really contribute much. I mean, at least from what we can see, he had an 0-5 kill-death ratio. But in terms of, we want to make sure that you're not feeding the other team experience or just easy kills.
I think, if they're looking for, if you really want a ranged sniper player with what we have right now, that Marquis should really probably think about converting to a Thorn. Maybe even, we had a Whiskey Foxtrot pick on the other team. He's also a really good, strong range player. I think we would bring that in. I would probably, we'll bring Roy back later. He'll criticize for me. I would even think about an Isaac in there, especially if you're running against double support, because Isaac can get a charged up wound on one of his which he can just do all the time. Really good way to fight against a healing meta, especially with some of the odder choices we saw here. That might be smart. I definitely think you're going to see them have to contend with that Wrath. It'll be really interesting because I think he was so dominant in that first game. If they can find a way to either ban him or shut him down, we're really going to see what that Wrath player does with another character and another pick on that to see if it actually is just a player skill thing. He's going to bring any character and do that well with it, or if it really is that interesting intersection of a player that really falls in love with and does a good job with Wrath. So getting ready here for the next round.
Yep. As soon as teams say they're ready, we'll be heading straight into game number 2, Overgrowth Incursion.
So Overgrowth Incursion, for the duration of all of Battleborn, probably the most played incursion map, the most played game mode that we have there. Monuments has taken over a little bit of popularity later on. A lot of people have enjoyed that for a lot of different reasons. But Overgrowth has kind of been the classic map. It's the go-to. It's kind of is our one map that our community really loves. They love to play on. It's going to be interesting. I think you might see a shift. We saw Project Zodiac with the Deandy play last game. Not as effective as it probably needed to be for a Deandy play. If they're going to go with, again, that kind of stealth play on that, they might consider, a Pendles in there, a little bit more sneaky damage, bigger burst damage on that. Though with Incursion, there's a lot less flanking opportunity than there is in a Meltdown map. There are a couple, but there's only a couple, and they're pretty defensible for a team that's paying attention to what goes on.
A character we didn't really see that much during the qualifier, but I've played a lot with is, and they pick a lot on, at least in the public game modes, is Pendles, especially on Overgrowth, because Pendles can easily get by the enemy team. The main job of the Pendles there is to flank the enemy team and destroy all their buildables. That way they have to force all their shards back on their buildables in their own base instead of maybe getting their gear set as well as the buildables on the other side of the map or in the middle of the map. We see Beatrix being banned immediately from Skulk Squad there, so this will be a huge ban. Kind of common. I guess they just don't like that player. And
then Alani again, the first two bans again. Again, if you have trouble with a specific character, that's again why the draft, the pick and ban and draft is so powerful, because you can shut down a character that you think that your team has hard times dealing with. Sometimes you're not worried about it because you have a player like, no problem, I know how to counter it, no big deal. But in this case, you definitely see Beatrix. I think you're going to see her banned throughout the day. Again, like I said, is in a very, very strong spot right now. If she gets into a match, she can make a huge difference in what goes on. She's a lot of agency. It looks like the Skulk Squad, though, is having a good debate here about what that second ban is going to be. Just 5 seconds left on that. Where are they going to go before they get the random one in there? Arendi, a solid choice there. Again, a super strong character. If they're looking at keeping a big damage from dropping back on them, that was a good choice.
Same bans from the first round as well. So Boulder was banned the second time around. I wonder if that's going to be the next ban that we get into.
Well, we'll see. That's going to be interesting. We'll see what happens. Again, it looks like they're having a good little discussion on that here. Boulder's one of those characters that he can be devastating or he can be just irritating, right? And it really all depends on how well your team coordinates around a Boulder and uses his defensive strategy. Boulder, like you mentioned early on, again, there's the Boulder ban. Boulder early game is very, very hard to kill with the shield. Once he hits around level 5 or 6, can do a lot of damage as well. So he really kind of gets on a roll, if I might say that for
there
Boulder,
you go.
Right?
I love it.
Rolling boulders together to Moss, or rolling to whatever, I don't know what it is.
They keep banning them, so all of my Rolling Stones puns are just, there's no way to use them.
How do you feel about the Wrath getting through the ban system there? Do you think that maybe Chocktaw will reserve that really quick in order to entitle it, or do you think that maybe Zodiac will be like, we're not going to let you have Wrath, we're going to use Wrath instead, make you have to force use another character? Because you also got to think, with the two cosplayers being on Skulk Squad, you got Caldarius, you got Wrath, and immediately when I say that, Wrath is the first one that's protected, so they have it reserved on their team. Do you expect to see a Caldarius here too? At this point, I would love to see a Caldarius because it matches a cosplay, and you're already up 1-0.
Caldarius is in a really good, he's probably not the deadliest character we have in the game right now, but again, a really good harasser, the best kind of fast mobility harasser character that we have at the moment. You see Benedict sometimes used for that. Melka was used for that a lot before we kind of shifted Melka around a little bit in the balance patches.
Nice.
Galt, by the way, a really, really solid pick. Now, Galt is one that if you can get him at short to close range, it does an immense amount of damage, but if the player is skilled with that Galt hook, can really turn the tide of several engagements. So that actually is a really good, solid reserve.
And a Galilea pick for the second as well. Another thing about Incursion as well is that since it is single lane, a lot of teams are going to be structured together, and it allows to have that kind of let's get a pick and let's act upon it type of strategy.
Yep.
Could be really powerful with Incursion. It looks like we're seeing the similar picks for Skulk Squad. We're going to see Miko and we're going to see Whiskey Foxtrot round up those particular picks. But so I like the picks from both teams so far. They're probably, I would probably say Miko needs a pocket, something to actually heal and keep reserving. We see Kid Ultra being picked for a support. So seeing some rotations in selections, and we see a Caldarius being selected for.
Taken away from the Skulk Squad.
Yep.
So the Caldarius cosplayer is going to have to face the object of her affection. It's going to be really interesting to see how she deals with Caldarius all up in her face. Now, the Galilea Galt combo is actually really, really great. I think what you'll see, especially on Overgrowth, it's got a couple of really amazing choke points right there in front of that first sentry. And I expect to see a lot of action where Galilea will get in there, she'll put down her Desecrate field, and the Galt will pull right into that, which lets Galilea be an utter beast, Galt be an utter beast. Her Galilea will probably take the AUG where she will give all of her teammates in Desecrate, all of the enemies in Desecrate will take a little bit more advantage, which, by the way, comboing with Galt could be nightmarish for Skulk Squad. Again, solid Montana Miko combo coming up there. I actually love the Montana Miko combo in Overgrowth. Again, for the same reason, you've got a choke point with some good visibility. Expect to see Montana sit out in that pocket, probably, again, play the more accuracy-based ranged Montana early on. With the Miko, just in a field day, out of sight, out of range around the corner, really just covering that Montana, keeping him healed up, keeping him that engagement long enough. If he gets into trouble, it's just a short dash or short step of him back around that corner. Miko has a lot of agency to biosynthesize and get that big heal on Montana without any problem right there. So I expect to see that going on. Ooh, some thoughtful choices going into these last picks. Thorn. Okay, that's going to be big. We're gonna need to see here what Project Zodiac's going to do to counter this, because a big important sniper on Overgrowth especially. You're going to see Thorn get up there in that bunker ledge, really overlooking the middle almost certainly, and control that middle.
That will have to be a really good pick because of the fact that you have to be really skilled to play Thorn really well. So to pick Thorn at this level of competition right now, playing for $10,000 on the line here, especially Marquis too, the Marquis as well, you have to be really skilled with those because they are single shot, guns and kill champions. So it does a lot of damage. It's just I wonder how they'll be playing Thorn.
It's kind of interesting because I expect Thorn and Whiskey will actually probably get up and sit on the ledge there. They can really control that middle. But we've got Marquis on the other side, who actually is a really, really solid choice, again, for kind of controlling the flow of that map in the middle, early game, sitting up there. Caldarius is your harasser. So you're definitely going to see Caldarius, if you get the Whiskey and Thorn combo up on the other ledge. I expect to see Caldarius bump up and jet up over there, really mix up and harass the team on that.
Gold can also punish verticality with his hook as well.
He can.
So if someone gets a little bit too antsy up front, that hook brings them down. They really don't have a really good way to disengage.
Now, I would worry a little bit more about, now the Whiskey is probably going to have a lot more trouble with the Galt than the Thorn. Now, Galt can absolutely shut Thorn down, but he's going to use Thorn usually plays very mobile. You'll see Thorns jump around a lot, run around a lot, which can really create some hard targeting for that Galt to land on her. Whiskey usually plays in the scope side a little bit, so he's going to have to be sure that he's watching out for that Galt hook that can really, really change that. Marquis is usually the one that can get up on that ledge, and while he's really skinny and thin, if he's not watching for a Galt pull, he can bring him and take him down, and that can be really devastating. But they're on the same team, so that may not be a factor.
Same gear sets as last time. All epics across the board besides those 3 shard generators on the side of Skulk Squad. I feel like Zodiac kind of switched it up a little bit. They went for the epic type, which is going to be interesting to see because are they going to be able to get enough shards to do that just based upon how game number 1 was?
So the way the Battleborn, your words, epics are the best way to stack a single stat. That's right. So epics all have a major stat, and then their secondary stat on the epics is a conditional. It means you have to do something. You have to melee attack, or you have to get a kill, or something like that to trigger that. But it is the best way to stack a single stat all the way up. Sorry, that's the rares. Once you get up to epic, the purple gear, you have two almost randomly different stats that can dovetail together.
All I gotta say is Miko drew first blood there, and Montana got the Galt. So the Miko-Montana combo is going really well right now, forcing that's gonna be Zodiac off for the sniper perch there. And we see Galilea right now just eating all the shield, and 487. Whiskey Foxtrot and Montana may actually be able to take her down here. She does have to avoid right now.
Yeah, they're focusing fire really well. Again, and there's a Galilea down, which is really surprising early on to get caught by Whiskey there. Really feeling for taking it down. Man, they just pour damage in on that, and they wedge themselves right in that. Look, the center shields are already down, 10 points of damage on it. Everybody's still level 1. Really, really good push on that. They're playing a good focus, fast push. Whew.
One big thing too is that since it's level 1, the respawn times are almost non-existent. So even though that there have been some exchanges, they're going to get some experience out of that. Everyone, or most people, are still level 1 right now, so it's not too crazy or too devastating that, hey, a couple of those early kills went bad. But it looks like Rat taking out Galilea, going to get an easy kill right there. Going to clean up Galt's hook. It looks like he's going to go in and actually take out Galt as well.
Now, you actually see Rat there a couple of times. That kill was actually done with his offhand melee ability, which is on Rat. It's a very short kind of boomerang shield throw. Actually does a lot of damage and gives him a little bit of range. It's a really great chase move on a character like Rat, who's super fast.
And this player playing the Wrath, he's actually using that move really well. Opting to take out the support jump from Kid Ultra and just going straight in with the Kid Ultra and Caldarius. Just
diving the Caldarius. Yeah, getting him with the catalytic smash.
He may be able to take out this Kid Ultra as well. So unfortunately for him, he has 10 seconds left on his build, but he's going to chase after him. Picks up the kill, but he actually gets taken out as well. That's going to be Galt finally taking him out. And I think Thorn picked up Thorn picked up Galilea there. So we'll have one more here this Thorn. I have to see exactly how they're playing the Thorn. Sentry Shield being attacked now, still at 90 health, so still a lot of health going on right now. So,
and Thorn's going to go, and about the time we switched to, is going to go and just look through a window for a little bit, getting some of that health regen back. Thorn, using again her Blight ability to wave clear. You saw her do her volley fire right there to do a little bit more targeted damage on the sentry while the shield's down. Getting in some really good bumpy hits on Galilea and some others, but again, getting focused fire a little bit.
One thing to call out as well, we saw Whiskey Foxtrot get pulled in, actually get CC'd a little bit by Galilea, but was able to successfully disengage, and he didn't even have to port back home. He's able to get right back in. He's pretty much full health. Now Montana's getting shelled just a little bit, but looks like with Miko pocket healing is going to do just fine. But it looks like that Project Zodiac recruit of Thrall, that's the big guy you see with the two little, looks like extended forks on the left-hand side. Knock up coming up from Montana. We see some additional shelling, and it looks like Galt is going to be able to take out Montana as we continue this fight.
Yeah, you've got to really do have to watch Galt coming in there close. Galt's shotgun does an immense amount of damage. Galilea looks like Miko. The Galilea taking out the Miko on the other team, which is going to be a good break for Project Zodiac, kind of getting a counter push in there.
Yeah, that kill was traded between the Miko and Galilea. I think Mini got the last hit. So, Wrath managing to take out the kill Ultra though. But Marquis is staying right on top of the sniper perch there. He's trying to kill the Bone Crusher that the Skulk squad enlisted. But right now, especially on Overgrowth, having the Miko-Montana combo, especially with Miko on your team, it's very hard to kind of get stationary because, especially with the way this map is played out, you're fighting, as you see, Zodiac is fighting in their base. They're fighting by their sentry. So if they manage to even get a member of Skulk Squad down to health, they just have to follow back up and just get back to the Miko and then come back into the fight full health. That's what you'll probably see the Storm do as I switch over to her right now. She's just kind of watching this, the short, but she probably does have a Miko behind her healing guys. We do see that she was being healed for a second, going more this Miko, and she's just straight healing the Montana right now.
Miko again using her spore there to do a little bit of a wave clear, finish up that minion, moving on through. And again, Skulk Squad pushing right through up into the base. Actually using the tunnel bunker here to flank a little bit, backing out from that. Gonna regroup and again point right through here. Marquis is actually not doing a bad job of keeping everybody down. The Wrath had to get up there and harass him out of his little perch to be sure that he's not harassing that Montana or that Miko in the back. So we're going to wait here for a second to get the turret back up. Turret, which again adds, at the first level, adds a little help clearing the minion waves. If you can get that central turret leveled up all the way to level 3, though, it actually can, and he's done it. It can harass the guys up in that perch there, which is going to let Wrath convert to a kill on the Marquis.
Yeah, opting to use his ultimate there. Kid Ultra, the only one on the Zodiac that is level 4. Everybody else is level 3 now. And, you know, having that initial huge power spike, especially at level 5, by gaining your ultimate, that is pretty big, especially for the Wrath that was level 10 last game when everybody else was level 6. And he's just opting to kill the Stinger Turret right now, which, again, it's really forcing Zodiac to really waste their shards on those buildables, and he just goes straight in.
He had a good opportunity to juggle the team right there. It looks like he initiated a little too early. He was only able to get one out of position, but able to safely disengage and regroup with his team. Right now, Project Zodiac's first sentry isn't being sieged at this particular moment. The shield might regenerate, but they got to find a way to be able to push them back and be able to do some additional damage on Skulk Squad's first sentry.
If I'm a Skulk Squad right now, one of the things I would really look at is taking out that Thumper turret in the back. It's actually been one of the things that with their Wrath, as aggressive and divey as he is, and actually fairly successful. He's been able to get out, you know, get a kill or get a juggle in a couple of times. That Thumper turret firing on the back is hitting him and slowing him down, which is allowing that Sentry to convert for more damage on that, really threatening that Wrath player. You know, if you can get that Thorn up in there, have her take a few shots and bring down that Thumper turret, you know, with the Thumper turret and the Stinger turret down in the back, I think you can really see Skulk Squad take their push strategy, the really surgy push strategy, and convert it to a win.
Caldera is forcing the Wrath to go run away now. 64, 164. Still a close game, even though it's about 36 point differential. But, you know, Zodiac isn't giving up, and they're forcing Skulk Squad finally back. They finally have somewhat mid-map control, more than what they've had anywhere else since the beginning of the game. But unfortunately, as I say that, they have to force back into their base. And just not having as powerful and singular of a healer as what Miko is, it's really being a nuisance in the side of Zodiac.
I think what they need to do is not let Wrath just walk in and spin his blades and kill everyone, but you know, Galt's hook is very powerful. So the fact that he goes down as well to Wrath and Wrath's just able to get out, it looks like a 3-kill. Looks like Thorn's able to take out Caldarius as well.
And a double kill from Wrath on Galt and Kid Ultra. Maybe not quite a double kill. I think the timing was a little bit different there. We were watching Kid Ultra as Wrath took him down. The Wrath again, super diving. You know, it was a. I know Project Zodiac is afraid of Boulder, but I really am surprised that they didn't ban that Wrath in there, because again, you're seeing an exceptionally good Wrath player here make a major difference in the match.
Yeah, you have to actually compliment that with the Miko too, because as you see that, you know, he didn't have to back the base. He just went back, waited a little bit for Miko to heal him, and now he's back in the action. And this Sentry should be going down right now. But he's not forcing on that. They're just forcing on Galilea and on the Galt.
Oh my gosh, actually at the Sentry taking down that Galilea, that was an awesome play.
Going on board here with Miko though, and they're just kind of just throwing the daggers at the Sentry, just making sure the shield doesn't regenerate, and this actually should be Thorn managing to take it down, or Whiskey Foxtrot. Whiskey opting to go with, like, I guess the 8-cog scope instead of the red dot sight. I've seen that some players, they tend to go with the red dot sight more than what they do with the scope. That's just a kind of a range style play, or more so of a quick...
Well, the fact that since it's incursion, like, you don't have to be within melee range in order to take care of a sentry. Like, if you can shell from a long ways away, like, as my sentry's getting damaged, I have to go to you to deal with it. So, you know, the fact that the long range doesn't quite surprise me. It's also an additional way to deal with Marquis if he's not taken out by Wrath or even Miko, just as he was now.
Well, it's not a bad decision, especially with Marquis. Like you said, if the Marquis is hitting him from range. Whiskey really doesn't want to get up close to Galt. Galt will get in there, and a good Galt player will take him down.
So how do you feel about that? It seemed like the Marquis player just kind of went and tried to do a backdoor push against the Skulk Squad. Unfortunately, he got kind of taken out there, but it was like he went straight down middle map, so I don't understand that. But Montana picking. Oh wow. Montana, that's 4 down now in favor of Skulk Squad.
We saw some team taunts right there. There we go. Skulk Squad bring the Skulk, just running right into it.
That marquee play is really interesting. It's funny that you bring that up, and in this map specifically, because in the early days of Battleborn, those first few months, we actually had but before we had blocked some important lines side of the map, Marquee could sit in the back and shoot the sentry from a safe place way back in his territory. And could actually convert that and get a kill on it and take it down. We had to block some lines of sight to turn him off. Now, this is Wrath getting those double thralls in the middle.
He's just soloing it. As for Melon, he does have Thorn there, so they will be able to maintain the double falls. And this actually may be pushed for the GG, as they do have the Bone Crusher up, and they are forcing them out of the supply station base there, as Gulch is currently on the perch area there. He has to force to go back to the supply station. I think, luckily enough, they do still have that active up there, so you don't have to actually go back to the base. But if you're on the side of Zodiac, what do you really have to do in order to maintain and keep your composure to go back into this game, even though that
Sure.
you are 100 to 50 at the moment?
Well, the first thing is they did it up until now. That Galt was controlling the perch up here where we're watching Whiskey go through. They've lost it now. If Skulk Squad gets established up there, it makes it very, very hard to get them out, and it means that Skulk Squad can really focus a lot more on that minion push and getting them up through there. It's going to split the defense, which is often a very unfortunate game-ending element for incursion.
Yeah, I think this may actually be the push for GG right now, as they do have double thralls.
And a super minion down there.
We also see Whiskey Foxtrot actually shelling from the top, doing the shields. You can see that in the top left-hand corner of the screen right now. I think, at least in the end, things start kind of slipping away. There were two pretty big power plays in favor of both Skulk Squad. They took out 3 members, and it was actually just a moment ago where Marquis actually had to run away. Wrath getting an additional kill on Gulch just a few seconds ago. So it might be too late, but it could be an overextension from Skulk Squad, which could allow Project Zodiac to be able to march on back. It's starting to have bad things happen. We see Wrath going hand-to-hand with Galt's going to knock him up, do some additional juggling right there. Galt looked like he's just able to survive that, doing some serpentine motions from Wrath trying to get out of there, and it looks like he's able to safely disengage, but it looks like Whiskey Foxtrot was able to finish off the kill.
That was a very smart move from that Wrath player there. He went into a zigzag motion. That messed up the Galt's aim, because now the Galt has to kind of compensate for that, as well as the super minion back there, or the super sentry, because now the super sentry shooting at him, and instead of going for the perch area, he opts to just go around, and now he did manage to take out the Kid Ultra. And 100 to 28, I just see this in favor of Skulk Squad right now.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really, really difficult for Project Zodiac to turn it around at this point. Skulk Squad dominating, again, that Wrath, just a masterful couple of games against this other team of diving in, really, really frustrating and taking out the opponents in the backfield. In fact, you mentioned that here we go. Second game goes to Skulk Squad, taking down the Sentry right here, 100 to 0.
Yeah, and they actually take the series 2-0, so they'll advance on and face the Dunk Squad in the semifinals, I believe, win the semifinals. So that was a really good play there, really great. And honestly, like I said, I'm expected. At that point, I was mentioning this in the ban and pick. Though we saw the same bans, yeah, you don't want the Alani to go through. You opted for the Boulder after you got dominated by the Wrath on game number 1. Do you pick the lesser of the two evils, and can you constitute Boulder as worse than Wrath after you've seen how that Wrath player played Wrath? We'll pull up the scoreboard here in a minute to actually get those stats on that Wrath player, but it was basically the same combination of what we saw. And again, 17 to 3 when nobody else had more than 5 kills.